So I'd like to talk a little bit about whistling, and I'll talk a little bit about its history and how I have been a whistler all my life and how I like to associate it with things I do and with ballads I sing. Well, when I was very young, I whistled pretty much all the time, and I was often told things like, would you ever put that whistle in your pocket? Or would you tie a knot on that whistle? Or in school it was, don't you know it's not ladylike to whistle? But I persevered. I spent a lot of time outdoors, and I had plenty of influencers back in the day in the form of birds. So I used to whistle to the birds, and I thought the birds were whistling to me, and we were talking away. I don't really remember my parents whistling much. My dad may have a bit. He did lilt all right, which is another form of mouth music, as whistling is, of course. A little bit of information. Whistling actually does not use your vocal cords. It's literally you blowing air through your lips. And so even if you have a sore throat or you're feeling sick, you can still whistle. So my dad used to lilt a lot, actually. And so lilting is like dee dee diddly idly diddly idly dum dee diddly idly diddly idly diddly idly diddly idly diddly idly dum dum dee diddly idly diddly idly diddly idly diddly idly diddly idly idly diddly idly idly dum dum diddly 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 idly diddly idly diddly idly idly diddly bumpy diddly idly dum diddly diddly idly diddly idly 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 diddly idly dum diddly idly diddly and then he might dance a little bit of a jig. My mother, on the other hand, was the woman for the ballads. So she taught me ballads from a very early age. And ballads are story songs. And since much of our history was oral, a lot of our myths and legends and histories were all passed down through ballads. Ballads are story songs, so they tell of our lives and our loves and our battles and our rebellions and every aspect of our life, really. And I found ballads were very helpful to me, because in school I was just really not good at remembering dates for history, and the ballads tied things together for me. They would maybe structure events, so I knew what famous person was around at the same time as another person, and so it really helped me to learn history, basically. So I was brought up in County Laois, on the east of County Laois, in the foothills of the Slieve Margaew Mountains. We had a lovely farm of land there on a hillside, and so I had plenty of space to wander and imagine. The town's land is called Moyne-na-Mondry, which means the plain of the Druidesses, and there is a stone circle there with a sunken altar stone in the middle. It may have been a megalithic tomb. It has never been excavated, so I don't know. But for us it was a Druid's altar, and we could imagine all kinds of celebrations that had occurred in that area. So I suppose I was steeped in the myths and the legends as well of the area. There are, I suppose, the same as everywhere else in Ireland, there are a lot of stories, there are a lot of ancient burial sites and flucht fia and standing stones all around that area, and we were immersed in them all. And then coupled with that, of course, there were the daoine maithe, who were the fairy folk, and the stories of those were all around us as well. People really took note of the little people and their likes and dislikes, and I wouldn't say it was a superstition as such, but those kind of things were taken into account, like you shouldn't cut down a blackthorn tree because it's a fairy tree. And yeah, so when I was in school, one of the songs that I learned is a song about the daoine maithe, and it's oscuilga. So the theme of it is about how the children used to climb out of their beds at night and go to the Laois, or the fairy ray, and they would dance and have fun with the little people all night long, and then they would come back home and climb back into bed as if nothing had ever happened. Now, of course, there were also stories about events like that where people did go and dance with the fairies and didn't come home for years and years and years. But this one was a lovely story anyway, and the daoine maithe used to allow the people to come back. And then I am going to follow that with a whistling tune called The King of the Fairies. And this is how I like to collect stories and story songs with tunes. And yeah, so this song now is called daoine maithe. Nu be a lot on Valia in a suturation land.